Good morning, this is Mona and this is my morning view. Today, spring edition 2025. It's not blue skies, but it's not really cloudy skies either. So I guess it's hazy skies. Could be due to the fires down in South Jersey. The smoke was making its way up here. So that could be what that haze is. So we'll go with that for right now, because I don't know what you would call that. I'm pretty sure that's what that would be. All right, so spring edition 2025. Today is Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday, the day I get to offend. All right, here we go. Okay, here's some thoughts. Here's some thoughts that I'm having a hard time holding my phone because I had to put the charger on it. I forgot to plug it in when I went for my shower this morning. And it was like, well, that was 45 good minutes of fast charging time that didn't happen. So I have to improvise. That's the name of the game. Improvisation. Elocution lessons. What I would do for elocution lessons. All right. So, here we go. Feisty Friday. This is the thought that's been on my head, like, off and on throughout the week, and then more so even this morning during my kind of silence time, but it wasn't being silent yet because the things in my head are still rolling around and the gears are still moving. So, and we talked about silent time yesterday. So during this time, I was thinking about last Friday. I had gone to the Castle Fun Center, place where you bring kids. And I was there with my granddaughter. And while we were there, the place had a lot of Hasidic Jews there on Friday. So because there was a lot of, there's a lot in this area, not here in the town that I live in, but just north of me, just east of me, northeast of me. So it's a heavy population. So it wasn't unusual. It's just unusual for me to see a lot of them in a place where I'm at, where I'm doing things. So, in my mind this morning, I was having a conversation with one of them. I was going to have a conversation with the wife because I didn't know whether it would be appropriate to speak to the husband. But I don't even know if it's appropriate to speak to the wife because it's just not something that I converse with Hasidic Jews a lot. I converse with other Jewish type people, but the ones that look like us, talk like us, walk like us, live like us. But with the Hasidic Jews, there's a lot of other cultural things that are involved. And one of those things are, like, they have their hair short here, but they have the side of their hair right here, and they have that in these curls like this on both sides of their head. This is the men. And the way I understand it is that is a reminder of leaving your edges unharvested. You only harvest the center, you leave the edges. This came from Boaz and Ruth, when Ruth came back to Israel with her mother-in-law, Naomi. Two women, they couldn't do a whole lot. There was no relative redeemer for them at the time. That comes later in the story. But in the meantime, they come, and there was a man, Boaz, that had a nice field. He had a very healthy field. He had workers in the field. He had, so he was a man of substance. He was a man that had wealth. And the outside of the field would be left for the poor, for the traveler, for the people that were hungry, that they didn't have the means to eat. So they gleaned the fields, meaning they came in and they took the excess that was left. Sometimes when you're harvesting, grain falls to the ground. So any of that could have been gleaned. So you didn't have to just glean the edges. If you got permission, you could go in and glean the field itself that had already been harvested, and they weren't going to go back and reharvest. So therefore, you were able to go in and clean it up, basically, if you were in need. So, of course, widows would be part of that definition. And both Ruth and Naomi were widows. So, noisy bird. So I'm sitting there thinking about, the excess, the stuff that's on the edges. Do we, because I'm sitting there this morning, do they put this into practical application? This is just a symbol. People can wear a symbol. People wear crosses all the time. Doesn't mean they're Christians. People, do things out of tradition. Doesn't mean they actually believe them. It's more of just a family tradition, or a tradition that, a cultural tradition. Something that is symbolic of faith, but do they actually walk that faith out? And so that brings it, because you don't want to say, do they, even though that's where the conversation started in my head. It's do we? Do I leave remnant on the side that is for those that don't have for themselves? And a lot of us are really, really fond of the freebies. We're like, that's free? I'm going to go grab some. Even if you don't need it. Even if it ends up in a junk drawer later on, it was free. We got the free stuff. Those little plastic wristbands that companies always give out as tchotchkes. It's free. I'm going to grab one of these. Well, we found a use for those finally. We give them to our cat. He loves them until they break, and then we throw them away. And then we find more and just give him more. The ones that are in the house. So, with that, all those freebies, the free pens. We grab the free pens. Oh, we love the free pens. And then it goes into a drawer and you don't see it again until you go out and you clean and you find 50,000 pens and none of them work because they're frozen stiff from sitting in a drawer, or dried up, or something to that effect. Because, the free stuff usually isn't the quality stuff. It's not, it's the lower end of now, some free stuff is a little bit better than other free stuff, but it's still the lower end of quality. So you expected that free pen to work 5 years later when you found it in the drawer. I don't know. We all love the free stuff. I'm kind of seeing it in school a little bit. We have a little free bin. We call it the free bin. It's small. It got saved so it wouldn't get wasted. And there are people that want the free stuff just because it's free. They don't need it. They just want it because it's free. Now, we empty it out every day, so it's empty every day. So if you want it, it's there. But I really like to go around and see who might need it before I hand it out. Problem is, it's always the same ones. And it's hard to make it look fair to the others when it always goes to the same people. But in the field, Ruth came to the field every day. Probably except for Shabbat. She probably did not come on Shabbat. The poor, Jesus said, the poor you'll have with you always. There's always something that causes someone to be poor. Sometimes it's their own bad stewardship, and sometimes circumstances happen. With Ruth and Naomi, they lost their husbands in a culture that did not have provision for that. Their provision was a male son, but Naomi's male sons died, and Ruth didn't get a chance to have a male son. So the circumstances were not caused by them. So we all like the free stuff, whether we need it or not. But very rarely do we want to give freely. We don't want to be, we want to be the orphan. We want to be the widow. We want to be the poor person. We want to be possibly the traveler. The traveler doesn't necessarily, usually wealthy travelers had plenty of provision with them, and when they got low, they went out and purchased. But you would have travelers that were not wealthy. They were walkers. They would go from place to place because, well, they didn't have a car back then, right? So they too were welcome to the edges of the field. And when the field owner does not want to share the edges of his field, he becomes like that greedy guy that wanted to build more barns, right? The parable where the guy had a really great harvest. He decided to build more barns, and because he decided to build more barns so he could hold more for himself, and he was called a fool because his life would be required of him that night, and the full barns would not go to him anyway. Remind, dear, that building barns cost money. You don't just build a barn for free. Yeah, the people get who they know and get those extra discounts and, the network. Well, the other people pay the full price. And there's nothing wrong with looking for a good deal. There really isn't. But when it's all about greed, when it's all about, I'm going to build these barns at the cheapest price possible so that I could hoard more of what I have, well, when your life is required of you, what's going to happen with those things that you hoarded for yourself? Usually it gets passed on to the family where they argue and bicker and split family relations. Because it was built on greed. There are those that are built out of love and left to their family as an inheritance, and that can still happen because somewhere on the line there is greed involved, even if it's minor. It can grow a deep, deep root. So, where do we leave our fields for others to glean? What are those things that we have that we can give freely, that we can share, that we can say is there if you need it. I know I've been there. I don't have nothing. I can't give. And then when it's called upon me to give, it's like, do I have it? Sometimes we don't even know what we have. Sometimes we think we have less than we do. So those little locks on the side of their head is a reminder. It's a reminder to leave a portion of your fields, the edges of your fields, for those that need. Don't get caught up in all the freebie stuff. Be the field owner. If you need to glean from the fields, glean from the fields. But if you don't need it, don't act like you need it. Because that's solidifying your position of where you are and not being the field owner. Be the field owner. Even if it's a little tiny field. It's only a portion of the field. All right. That's all I got for you today for Feisty Friday. I did not give my commercial, so I will give my commercial now. Like, share, comment. If you're watching me on YouTube, or after you've finished watching this live, go over to YouTube, to Mona E. Harrison. You will see my wisdom locks. You will see my beautiful face. Go there. Like. Subscribe. Hit the button. Do it now. Hit the button. Subscribe. Share. Comment, even if you disagree. If you have something else to expound upon, comment. Get all the bells and whistles. Watch it on fast speed. Watch it while you're doing the dishes, while you're doing the laundry, while you're doing your chores, while you're gardening, while you're walking. And I'll leave you with that. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you, Bill, for watching. Thank you, Susan, for watching. Thank you, Sarah, for watching. And I will see you on Monday for Memory Monday. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. This video will be uploaded either tonight or tomorrow. But in the meantime, go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison. Watch some of the older ones. Watch some of the ones I've already done that have already been uploaded while you're waiting for this one if you didn't catch the whole thing. Or you can watch it on Facebook right after I'm done. But on Facebook, you can't watch it in fast speed. So unless you're watching it on a computer and you have a speed controller, then you can watch it on fast speed. All right. Blessings. Have a great day.